Right now, we've got some big medical news. An advisory committee to the Food and Drug Administration has voted to endorse Eli Lilly's Alzheimer's drug named donanemab. The panel says it is safe and effective in slowing the progression of the early stages of Alzheimer's disease. If approved by the FDA, this drug would be the second one on the market to slow the progression of this disease. Now, right on the heels of that big announcement, we've got Courtney Hochhalter joining us live. He's a senior care expert at Right at Home here in Houston. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Brianna.
So I want to ask you first off, your reaction to this big news that could really help in Alzheimer's diagnosis early on.
Yeah, this is great news. It really encourages us to keep track of our seniors and make sure that we are paying attention to any symptoms or changes with them. One of the keys with a lot of these new developments that we see now and that we're going to continue to see is really being aware of changes early. These types of things will be so helpful if we can catch the symptoms early, and they may not be as helpful if we wait or procrastinate and take time before we take our seniors in for those doctor's appointments.
Courtney, zoom out a little bit for us and help us really get our arms around this issue of brain disease and how it's impacting older Houstonians.
Yeah, it's really detrimental to so many families and so many older adults. Just the changes that come with people that really expect to be independent. They're so used to living their own lives, and now they have those subtle changes that make it really difficult for them to be by themselves, to be independent, to be able to drive themselves. And with families that have their own obligations, they have family commitments, career commitments, and being able to help care for them. So it really creates this tremendous dynamic between the families as far as what types of care and what types of help they're going to need.
I'm so glad you mentioned it because it's the individual that's going through this behavioral change and also their loved ones. So help us understand kind of where that line is between typical aging, forgetting things from time to time, and the type of behavioral changes that should raise red flags.
Yeah, it's really subtle differences, right? Because a lot of things we do like to chalk up to just old age.
Yeah, a senior moment, as my parents say.
Yes, exactly. I misplaced my keys today, right? So those types of things are definitely signs. If you see it happening more and more often, if you see things that are obvious and subtle changes or big changes with adults, as far as maybe they typically have a routine where every morning they, have their coffee, they read the newspaper, they spend a little time with the computer. All of a sudden now they're wandering around outside. Maybe they're looking around the block, doing these types of things. The big one that we look for too is somebody that takes care of themselves and all of a sudden they're not showering. You can tell they're wearing the same clothes day after day after day. They just seem a little bit more confused. These are the types of things that rather than just chalking it up to a senior moment, maybe schedule that doctor's appointment.
Yeah, I personally have a 90-year-old grandmother. We just celebrated her birthday. She's been such a blessing to our family. But when it comes to having these conversations with people who have been, as you said, independent and enjoyed their independence, how can loved ones and families really approach this topic sensitively, appropriately, and effectively?
Yeah, you really want to be empathetic and non-confrontational.
Yeah.
People they have some awareness that their mind isn't working quite like it used to, but they don't necessarily want to be corrected. They don't necessarily want to have that confrontational discussion that results in them losing some of that independence. So just having that empathetic conversation, discussing more of the symptoms, not necessarily the disease, because at this point, it could be dementia, Alzheimer's, some type of cognitive problem, or it could just simply be the result of old age. So having those types of conversations that are really focused on helping them more so than trying to take things away from them is really a helpful approach.
And for the family or loved ones, what are the useful conversations or even questions that we should be asking of our loved ones' medical team or healthcare providers?
Yeah, well, really it's a lot of planning. Really planning ahead as much as you can, making sure that you've had those discussions, not with just the healthcare team, but also with the legal team. Some types of estate planning that you can really think ahead and have in place. One of the big ones is obviously driving.
Yeah.
So if you can have that financial power of attorney taken care of with some estate planning, that really helps when you have to make some of those difficult decisions with our seniors.
Yeah, being prepared is key. I think that was most of the questions I had for you this morning, Courtney. Was there anything you wanted to add that I may not have asked you about?
Yeah, thank you so much. If there's any help that we can provide, certainly reach out to us. We have a website, rightathome.net. You can also call our office, 713-581-8160. We provide caregivers that help with families, help them get back to that peace of mind, help with their career and their personal obligations, and really help create that respite care and those moments that you can have quality family time together.
Yeah, it can be challenging, as we've discussed, but it can also be really joyful if you have the right things in place for your loved ones. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you, Brianna.